Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be taking another look at what is one of my favorite decks in the Pokemon TCG, which is going to be Banette EX. Now, Banette EX is a lot of fun to play, but sadly, it unfortunately has Weakness Dark, which does mean that Charizard and Grimmsnarl will be able to one-shot you, which is a really big downside with this deck. And to top it all off, Banette EX is also a fairly fragile puppet at only 250 HP, so I would say those are like the main downsides of Banette EX. But looking past that, the attack Everlasting Darkness is quite literally just Bud You, but 30 damage instead of 10, which is really nice. And then Poltergeist does 60 damage for each trainer card in your opponent's hand, which is also really nice. So the whole idea, of course, is that you want to try and keep using Everlasting Darkness for as long as possible, and then use Poltergeist to finish something off. But typically, and I think I mentioned this last time when I looked at Banette EX, Poltergeist does leave you open for your opponent to play all their items at once. So, just something worth bearing in mind. And I would always try and keep up the item lock for as long as possible, really. But to help with the item lock, Shuppet does also have Enveloping Shadow, which does 10 damage. Then you get to flip a coin. If heads during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any items. Now, if you really wanted to, you could also play Buddy just to further guarantee the item lock, going second. But to be honest, I think Cleffa's just been a bit more useful overall, because I think the deck just needs a bit more draw power. You're not playing Pheasantipity because we play Cofagrigus as the other attacker in the deck. So not having abilities kind of makes sense. So yeah, Cleffa's in here to compensate for lack of draw power. But again, you could play Buddy if you really wanted to. But typically for the turn one going second play, you don't really want to use things like TM Evo, or you want to use things like Buddy, or sometimes you don't even want to bother with Cleffa, because typically what this deck wants to do is actually play the trainer card Salvatore, which says search your deck for a card that has no abilities and evolves from one of your Pokemon. And then you can basically just evolve it, and you can do that turn one going second, and you can even do it on your active Pokemon, which is great. And why that's great is because it means we can just use Everlasting Darkness immediately. So it's kind of like your own version of Budget Buddy, I guess, but you're doing 30 damage, which is really nice. But you can also do this on Cofagrigus. So this guy has the attack Law of the Underworld, which says put 6 damage counters on each Pokemon that has an ability. So we do play a very heavy line, a 4-3 line, which is kind of a lot, but you still need to chain these. So even if you're up against something like Ogerpon, for example, you'll have to do this back to back about 4 times to KO them. So you will need one Cofagrigus after another. So that's why this deck has to play a heavy line of it. But you could also maybe try a thinner line and then maybe a different Pokemon. You could even run Cofagrigus EX, which, to be honest, I don't think this card is very good. I might give it a go eventually just because I like Cofagrigus so much, but this one has the ability Gold Coffin, which says when it gets KO'd, you can search your deck for any one card. And then Hollow Hands does 110 for 2 Psychic, and you get to put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon any way you like. So it's kind of like we have Dragapult EX at home kind of type deal, but again, Weakness to Dark, only 260 HP, very fragile. So I might try Cofagrigus again at some point, but for the most part, I think the single prize one is just a bit stronger. So yeah, as for trainers, it's all about just getting the Pokemon set up really quickly. But because we're only playing a handful of Pokemon and a handful of energy, it does mean we can play other annoying cards like Crushing Hammer. We can't really play Xerasic because that would go against Poltergeist, but we can still play Disruption like Crushing Hammer, which has been really useful. Now, I did also play Grabber in this deck for a bit. Now, Grabber can be useful in just shrinking down your opponent's hand, especially after using things like TM Devolution. If you TM Devo something that they've had to rare candy up, then you might be able to Grabber away that Pokemon the next turn. But I think overall you don't necessarily need Grabber in the list, and that's why I removed it in the end. But yeah, something worth bearing in mind. Also, TM Devolution is another win condition this deck can go for, because there is some Pokemon out there who do have a lot of HP and do evolve and have abilities. So being able to de-evolve those Pokemon like Charizard, for example, and then just, remove their Charmeleon or Charmander immediately with Devolution is really nice. So yeah, it can get some cheeky KOs with Devolution for sure. You could play Evolution, but I think overall, you just want to be going for that Salvatore, which is also why we play 4 Pokégear in the list. As for a spec of choice, I went for Hyper Aroma. Now, I think, to be honest, there is a lot of good A specs. I think the is it the Bomb A spec? I think maybe I don't have a copy of it actually. I think it's called something that. Yeah, maybe I don't own one actually. Okay, I don't own one. So yeah, Deluxe Bomb. I do think this card is honestly like a decent A spec for this deck because sometimes Banette just will get one-shotted and there's like nothing you can really do about that, and so Deluxe Bomb would help a lot with that. But then you also have things like Hero's Cape, you know, like Secret Box, Honesty isn't terrible. So yeah, definitely plenty of options, but I thought Hyper Aroma was really solid. Just in case you get the Poffin earlier on, then you're able to get like all the evolutions out the deck that you need really, because it's fairly low maintenance. Like everything's a stage 1, everything needs 1 or 2 energy, but you know, just having Hyper Aroma just helps it out that bit much more. But yeah, it's been Emma Power. Let me know what you think of Banette EX. Do you feel inspired to giving this deck a go? Again, I don't think this deck is anything crazy or anything special, but I do think it's a lot of fun, and it's a bit of a shame that Banette EX kind of got forgotten about in the Pokemon TCG, you know. I'd love it if this deck got more support in some fashion in the future, but I'm not sure what the deck would need to get better, like maybe some kind of HP boost for Stage 1 Pokemon or something. But yeah, this has been Emma Power. Let me know what you think down below, and yeah, thank you for watching. Okay, so of course the one time that we actually get to go second with this deck, unfortunately we don't get the Salvatore Banette play, which is a wee bit unfortunate, but we do get the Crushing Hammer play. So heads, never fails, please. Never fails. Oh, we do get the heads, that's nice. I am choosing to not attach energy this turn because I don't think we'll be able to attack with Cofagrigus next turn, unless of course my opponent does actually get the Pupitar going, which they might do. Like, we are ioning them up to 6 again, and they'll draw 1 for turn, so it is possible, but okay, that is grim. We didn't get anything off that. So we didn't get any Shuppet, we didn't get any Buddy-Buddy Poffin. That's a bit rough. I will go ahead and Grasping Draw for sadly just, what is that, 1 card? Okay, 2 cards, and none of them are useful. Oh, awful. Okay, we'll have to see how this goes. This might just end horribly for us. We are against what is, in my opinion, the worst deck from the latest set. So, you know, I'll eat my words if I lose horribly to this, but that's a risk I'm willing to take at this point. They are playing with Crobat, actually. Crobat's interesting. So they'll probably evolve here. Okay, so just a TM evolution, that's fine. They might not want to evolve this guy, though, depending. Maybe? Crobat is really annoying for us, though, because they do hit for weakness. So I don't really like that. I could delay them a turn with TM Devo. That might be the play, actually. That might be the play. I mean, I'm just removing a single Flaffy, but yeah, I don't know. I don't like you having energy. Okay, so there's Buddy Poffin at the very least. I could also just boss something up. That might not be a bad move. We'll get double Shuppet down. Yeah, I think I might just boss something up because I don't think they have a lot going on right now. And we do have resistance, so it's not as if they're doing a ton of damage. Heads, remove another energy, that's nice. So the question is, do I want to use Cleffa? That is the new question of the day. It's a 50% chance to item lock them. I'm guessing they play a lot of the Team Rocket supporters, so maybe it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, they seem to have a lot of items. Right, I think I'll boss Flaffy, and then we'll use Cleffa. So that makes things at least a bit more awkward for them, because now they have to move the Flaffy. Okay, we got some stuff off that. We got both Banettes, we got Salvatore as well. So we can fully evolve the board next turn, assuming my opponent doesn't play an Iono. So they play an Arven. They might get a Switch off this, or like a TM EVO. No, just a Devolution, right. I mean, we have TM Devo as well, though. So if we want to do this, then that's fine. Honestly, we might just want to use TM Devo next turn and like not do anything else. That might be the play here. Really? You had that? Okay. So be it. Force him to have another red candy. I kind of like that plan, actually. I do kind of like that plan. So we will evolve. Yeah, we may as well just start evolving. And then we can... I mean, we can boss again. Like, bossing's not maybe the worst idea. Boss the Fluffy. That way you can't, like, take advantage of Pupitar again. I don't really want to give them the confusion from there. And then we'll do this. So yeah, we're just kind of trolling each other at this point, but if it buys us a bit more time, then I'm fine with this. We also have one more Devolution in deck. So that's also something worth bearing in mind. Of course, we will have to, you know, actually attack at some point and, you know, play the game properly, but until that happens, you know, we can just kind of troll them with this. So next turn, we can use Everlasting Darkness. We'll just have to see what my opponent does. But yeah, they are playing Rare Candy. So they're playing like the Rare Candy Arven build. They're not playing like the Proton Petrol build. So they have their own Devolution. That's not really going to matter too much because we're all stage 1s. So there's their Fluffy. We haven't taken a prize card, so Reversal won't help them. So yeah, we de-evolve, but kind of a waste of a TM in my opinion. Just because like we can evolve immediately again. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hyper Aroma as well, not super useful sadly. I was running Hero's Cape. I wonder if I should go back to running Hero's Cape actually. Because it's kind of easy to find your Pokemon with Salvatore. I wonder. I will go ahead and evolve here. We don't want to use Iono. Like, this is the problem I had with Tranitar, is like the deck just bricks horribly. Like, you get to a certain point in the game and you just run out of steam. So my opponent is probably just waiting on another Rare Candy. We don't want to play Iono. We don't have an energy, so like Everlasting Darkness seems absolutely fine here. Just do the 30. So their 50 plus potential Polarises is quite annoying. But they do get another Arven. I mean, if they want to keep, like, using TM Devos, then that's fine by me. It's not going to matter too much right now. Like, they have to use TiVo... Wait, what? Wait, what? Is that Venture Bomb? No way. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I could just circumnavigate this by continuing the item lock, right? I think. Game is crashing. Okay, my opponent just conceded. Yeah. I was going to say, because I can just keep doing the 30 damage and then never trigger the A-spec. So, yeah. Okay. Very, very strange game.